processes and problems that unfolds or that influence our learning. And based here in the Individual Disability Act, this act or resolution, all children with disabilities are guaranteed free with appropriate public education. So dahil dito sa kanila, nagkaroon tayo ng appropriate public education for students with special needs. Kaya pala, because before, wala tayo expect in public schools. May nag-o-offer but mga private school and just selected family, students with special needs yung nakaka-afford and nakaka-access with education. But because of this, nagkaroon na tayo ng guaranteed free appropriate public education dahil dyan sa support, legal support and or legal basis. And what else? Ito na yung IDEA ngayon, but before that's the Education for All Handicapped Children Act in 1975. Dahil before, they're just basic necessities were supported for those students with special needs. Walang equality access to education. So through educational psychology, it provides teachers with the means to educate individuals with disabilities who may not otherwise have access to the first-rate education they deserve. Let's go to the first basis, which is the Piaget's cognitive development. So John William Fritz Piaget is a Swiss psychologist who revolutionized our understanding of child development. Actually, his work was influenced by his observation of his own children. From his own children, yun yung naka-influence ng observation niya at nagkaroon siya ng theory of cognitive development. Ano-ano yung 4 stages of cognitive development? Anyone from you that could recall the theory of cognitive development, kahit konting nare-recall lang about Piaget. Kasi I believe these psychologists were already encountered from some of your previous subjects. Sige nga, anyone, nakaka-recall kahit konti tungkol sa cognitive development or mental development. Wala kayong natatandaan kay Piaget, yun, tomato.
Ma'am, yung pre-operational po. And yung operation po.
Okay, so thank you so much, Ms. Domato. So somehow naaalala siya yung mga operational, pre-operational. So ito yun. First is the sensory motor stage. It's the birth to 2 years. According to Piaget, a child understands the world through sense and action. So thinking, the way they think is based on senses. Kung ano, they could feel, they could hear, diba? They could touch. So halimbawa, kami yung bata, pag kinuha ng ibang tao, magre-react siya, magkakaray siya kasi based on his sense of sight, hindi niya kilala yung kumuha sa kanya. So yun yung sinasabi natin, sensory stage. Sensory motor stage. The second stage is the pre-operational stage, wherein it is 2 years up to 7 years old. Yung thinking naman here of a child is symbolic. They understand the world through language and mental images. So medyo tumaas na yung way of thinking nila. The third stage is the concrete operational stage, 7 to 11 years old. They understand the world through logical thinking and more organized or categories yung kanilang thinking. And lastly is 12 years onward, where the child understand the world through hypothetical thinking, scientific reasoning, and abstract reasoning. So, tatandaan nyo lang kay sensory motor, it's action-based learning, kay pre-operational, symbolic, concrete is logical, and formal operational for abstract hypothetical lang for the last. So these four theories of cognitive development, kung paano nakaka-understand ng isang student or ang isang learner, actually these are affected or influenced of the four factors, the word schema, accommodation, simulation, and equilibrium. Yan yung four. Okay, may I have schema? Please someone, can I request someone to read and explain what is a schema? Anyone? Di mailig. Jelka. Wala. May I have Steffi Garcia? Again, pag tinawag at wala, it's a negative.
Basahin lang po, ma'am.
You tell something about what you have read.
Basahin po tas
Yes, no.
schema. A schema describes both the mental and physical actions involved in understanding and knowing. Schemas are categories of knowledge that help us interpret and understand the world. Ang schema po, dito po sa sinabi sa schema, ito po yung nag-describe sa both and mental physical action po ng isang bata kapag nagtuli po and pag sa learning po. And so, parang ito po yung schema po is yung knowledge na nakakatulong sa isang bata para maintindihan niya sa outside world po.
Okay, so pag sinabi nating schema, earlier I asked you, can you still remember anything about cognitive development theory of Piaget? Sumagot si Ms. Domato. Ma'am, yung concrete at saka yung pre-operational. So, that knowledge na i-share is what we call schema. It's the things that you already knew. Alam nyo na yung stock knowledge, prior knowledge. That's what we call schema. Now, what do you mean by accommodation? Anyone accommodation? Then Nicole, ayan, si Miss Ibali.
Good afternoon po, ma'am. For accommodation involves modifying existing schemas or ideas as a result of new information or new experiences. New schemas may also be developed during this process. For my understanding po, halimbawa po, nakakita po ng animals, which is four-legged animals, akala nyo po dog yun. Pero as time goes by, may nagsabi po sa kanya na horse. By then, maintindihan niya po na hindi po pala yun dog, kundi horse po. Ganun.
So how are you going to explain accommodation in that example that you have given? Pag sinabing accommodation, you have the schema, di ba? Alam mo na, four-legged animal yun. But you modify it, di ba? So that's the time a schema becomes accommodation. So yung old knowledge, minodify mo na siya. What about assimilation? Anyone? Assimilation. Yes, and person.
Assimilation. It is the process of taking in new information into our already existing schemas. So yung based po sa pagkakaintindi ko, ito po yung for example, meron ka na pong idea doon po sa kunyari po sa lesson natin, meron na pong idea si Miss Domato about po sa lesson natin. And ngayon po is nadadagdagan po yung information na meron siya about po sa lesson na meron po tayo.
So that's assimilation. You take new information and equilibrium. Thank you, Miss. Next. What about equilibrium? Credito.
Good afternoon po do. Equilibrium, Piaget believed that all children try to strike a balance between assimilation and accommodation, which is achieved through a mechanism. Yung equilibrium po is, pagkaintindi ko po is, ito po yung parang pinagsama po yung luma niyang kaalaman doon po sa bagong information po na nalaman niya po. So parang na po yung knowledge niya po na yung pagkakaiba po nung dati po niyang nalalaman doon sa isang bagay, unlike po doon sa bagong information po na natutunan niya po, unlike example po doon nga po sa sa example po ni Ibalik, yung kumbaga bata po parang pagka sinabi po na aso or pusa, ang isip lang po nila is hayop po yun. Which is, na meron pong, kumbaga sa hayop is meron pong 4 na paa. Then kung i-compare po sa tao is may 2 paa. Parang ganun po na nagkakaroon na po siya ng pantay na knowledge po na magkaiba po yung sa, kumbaga yung luma po and then yung new knowledge po niya is mas naiintindihan niya po ng mas malawak.
Okay. Tama. Again, kay Piaget's theory, pag sinabi natin schema, ito yung mental framework. The things that we already knew. Okay? And when we say assimilation, the process of incorporating new knowledge or new experiences to our existing schema. And when we accommodate that existing schema, we create new information based on our old stock knowledge or the knowledge that we already have. That's accommodation. And when we combine all these processes, we have the equilibrium. And that ends for John Piaget. Let's proceed to the second one by Albert Bandura. Can you please read, pero read nyo na lang silently. Excuse for a while, mag-share lang saglit. And going back, so sino nga si Albert Bandura and more? Sino si Albert Bandura? Olazo, Angel. Sige, si Francisco na lang kasi nag-volunteer.
Albert Bandura po, isa po siyang psychologist na nagsasabi po na natututo tayo sa pamamagitan ng panonood or paggaya sa iba, hindi lang po sa sarili nating karanasan.
Okay, so cognitive development, ang kay Albert Bandura naman ay social interaction, di ba? Social learning theory. Ano? So he is an influential social cognitive psychologist known for his social learning theory and the concept of self-efficacy and his famous Bobodal experience. Yes, Ms. Nazar. You want to add something, Ms. Nazar? You're raising your virtual hand. Yes. Baka napindot lang. Okay, so let's define social learning theory. It emphasizes the importance of, according to Bandura, as a child learns through observing, modeling, and imitating the behaviors, attitudes, and emotional reactions of others. So how a student react, how a certain child behave, actually learned by observing, modeling, and imitating. It also considers how environmental and cognitive factors interact to influence human learning and behavior. So yung retention, yung cognitive factors also somehow influence their learning. And social learning theory focuses on learning that proposes new behavior can occur by observing and imitating others. So there are the three basic social learning theory. Three basic social learning concept. Observational learning, intrinsic reinforcement, and modeling process. So let's differentiate the three. A child learns through observation in three ways. Through a live model, a verbal instruction model, and symbolic model. Anyone who could differentiate these three? Tawagin ko ulit itong si Miss Nazar. Natulog na yata ng nakatasang kami. Miss Nazar? Sa negative kasi wala naman siya. Naka-join lang. What about the others? Isa-isahin ko. Yes, ng langit. Isa lang muna. A live model. How would you explain live model?
Yung alive model po, ma'am, kumbaga, like halimbawa po yung mother, siya po yung live model na kung ano po yung ginagawa ng mother na tama and natututunan po yun ng bata through observing her mother po, ganun po.
Actually, kahit hindi tama di ba? Kung anong nakikita ng mga bata to elders, usually, yun yung na-adapt nila. Behaviorally, yun, ganun yun. So another example for a live model, you learn by actual demonstration or presentation of a certain person. What other examples you could give sa major nyo? Halimbawa, paano nyo maa-apply ang live model, observation learning? May I have Soriano? Well, Mrs. Soriano, negative ha?
Hello po, ma'am.
Oh, yes, Soriano.
Paano po ng question, ma'am? Medyo choppy po kasi.
Give a specific example that a live model observational learning would apply. Sige, let's call a friend. Miss David. Okay. Sige, thank you so much. So, siguro, tama naman. Kasi nadidemo, di ba? So, punta tayo halimbawa sa ibang major. Halimbawa yung baking. Instead of instructing how to bake this certain bread, ididinidemo muna ng professor. Di ba? So, bago nyo gawin. So, that's what we call a live model. Merong mismong demonstration sa mga pre-service teachers. So, bago sila sumalang in teaching, hindi naman pagdating sa team mo, turo ka agad, di ba? May live model muna tayo. So, a teacher, the cooperating teacher, have the demonstration teaching before the student teachers will conduct their own demonstration teaching. So, that's what we call a live model. May actual demonstration or presentation of a certain skill or method. Diba? Paano naman ang difference nito in a verbal instructional model? Itong ginagawa ko, verbal instructional model, di ba? Yan, you learn through explanation, discussion. So, yan yung verbal instructional model. Iba siya doon. Nasa lecture ako. Unlike on the lab, wherein nagkakaroon ng demonstration kasi may application of skills. Okay, verbal instruction, more on theory, discussion, explanations. What about symbolic? Anyone? Symbolic. Nadalo.
Symbolic model po. Sabi dito, it involves a fictional character displaying behavior in books, film, online media. Sa symbolic model po, pag natututo po yung isang bata by watching.
Kung paano ayusin yung basa.
Tapos po, basa nila sa mga books.
Okay. It's either reading from a book, watching from a television, watching from a YouTube. Di ba, bago ka nag-bake, bago ka nag-luto ng ganito, sa YouTube, that's symbolic model. So, basically, these three ways, a live model, verbal, and symbolic model, are all observational learning. We learn through observation. Yun nga lang, it could be a live demonstration. It could be just an explanation. You just listen, or you're watching from an image or symbolic model. So that's observational learning. Next is intrinsic reinforcement. I-add ko lang. Si Bandura is famous from his Bobodal experiment in 1961, wherein children watch adults interact with the Bobodal. Kids or learners who saw aggressive behavior were more likely to act aggressively toward the dog. It showed behavior can be learned through observation, not just direct reinforcement. So, kahit hindi siya, hindi yung kids directly interacted with the doll, they act the same like how those adults act towards the doll. Gets you? Yung behavior nila towards the doll, although hindi sila directly nag-interact, the same dun sa adult. Kasi yun yung na-observe nila to adult. Kids who saw aggressive behavior towards the doll, they act the same. So that's what Bobodal experiment Bandura. Let's proceed to the second one, the intrinsic reinforcement. The question is in teaching. Why do you want to finish your studies in college? Why do you want to finish college? Anyone? May I have a very good answer. Bakit ba kayo nag-aaral? What's your reason behind it? Langit. Yan po. Yung sumigaw ni kapitbahay.
Sorry mo, ang ano po sa ingay.
Naingay din naman lang. Lipat tayo. Pinakatalo. Mary Ann. Why your reason you want to finish your study? Wala siya. Sige, Garcia.
Yeah, sabi bukas kasi may PBA. May PBA. Kanina na palinis na. Tapos gawa mo sa bintana. Lahat. Bukas naman arrange. I-arrange. Tapos yung may pupuntin.
Sorry ha, pero hindi ko marinig si Garcia. Can I call another one? I'm sorry, Miss Garcia. Medyo choppy. May I have Miss Ibalik? Pero ni-record ko siya. Miss Ibalik.
Po, ma'am. So the reason po I want to finish studies, I am from family po na hindi po masyadong afford yung everyday. Father po, hindi po sila so, nagkaroon po ng limitation.
Are you really in general?
Yung
The mic is on. Yes.
College para po magkaroon po ng maayos ng buhay yung family ko and maging proud din po sila sa akin. Kasi po, I know na ginagawa po nila lahat para po makapagtapos. Ako kasi po, kami po is 9 po kaming magkakapatid and sa 9 po na yun, yung mga po nag-asawa na and isa pa lang po yung nakakapagtapos namin which is yung nagpapaaral po sa akin ngayon. And ayun po, gusto ko po silang maging proud and at the same time magkaroon pa po ng malawak na opportunity to work and maging successful po in the future.
Sino ang salitang po si Miss Ibalik? Okay, yung answer ni Miss Ibalik, although medyo choppy, naiintindihan ko naman. Wala naman siyang extra reward after graduation, but it's all motivation from within. Gusto ka nila matapos because of the family, because of the pamakaran. So they are all called intrinsic reinforcement. The pride, the interest, the sense of achievement, curiosity, all of those comes from within. So if your reason comes from your ego, your pride, they are all called intrinsic reinforcement. Kailan siya magiging extrinsic kapag the motivation comes from outside. For example, reward or punishment, may money, may praise from other persons. Nagiging intrinsic reinforcement. Pero yung answer ni Miss Ilavig and maybe some of you, most of you, lahat siya reason from within, that's intrinsic reinforcement. So let's go to the third one, which is the modeling process. In the modeling process, learning does not lead to a change in behavior. Actually, there are 4 phases of learning. Existence, attention, retention, reproduction, and activation. In order to learn, of course, you must pay attention. So, of course, naiintindihan ko yung mga nasa biyahe pa ulit. It's hard for them to really pay attention kasi baka mamaya sagasaan man pagtawid while crossing the street. But actually, if you really want to learn, you have to pay your attention. When you pay your attention, you take part you take important part in the learning process kasi you will be able to remember and retain some of the knowledge mentioned during the discussion. Therefore, pag may retention ka, you remember something, you're able to use what you have learned. That's reproduction. And then, this is the motivation to reuse what you have learned. You reuse what you have learned and acquire reinforcement. That's motivation. So, in order to finally, in order for an observational learning to be successful, you have to be motivated to imitate that behavior because it's either intrinsic motivation or extrinsic motivation. So these are the four phases of learning. First, again, you have to give attention. You have to pay attention in order for you to remember retain some knowledge. In that way, you could reproduce, and if you're successful with this three process, you'll have the motivation. So, to sum up, kay Albert Bandura, the process of social learning, people can learn by observing the behavior of others and outcomes of those behaviors. Learning can occur without a behavior change. Cognition plays in role learning. So this is the principles of social learning theory of Albert Bandura. Let me change again. Patapos na ako. The next topic will be discussed by Claire. Wait lang ba? Ayan. Review lang natin. Again. APLGs and cognitive development. We have the sensory motor stage 0 to 2 years old, pre-operation stage 2 to 7 years old, contemplation stage 7 to 11 years old, and the formal operation stage, which is the 12 years. And pagdating kay Albert Bandura's social learning theory, he believed that a child learns through observation, imitation, and modeling. And there are four phases of learning: attention, retention, reproduction, and motivation. The behavioral theory consists that behaviors are the result of conditioning. Cognitive needs made to psychological features like attention, memory. Social learning theory highlights the importance of good role models and exercise the promoting influence of whole. And if Vygotsky scaffolding, what do you mean by scaffolding, anyone? Anyone? What do you know by SCAO? Anong schema nyo sa scaffolding? Sinabing scaffolding. Ayun.
So good afternoon po ma'am. Ang ibig sabihin po pag sinabi scaffold, ito po yung structure po. Kumbaga parang foundation po kung paano po nabubuo po yung isang bagay or yung tulad po sa building, kung paano po sumusuporta yung scaffolding para hindi po maguho o hindi po masira. So sa scaffolding po mas napapanatili po matibay, saka balance po yung isang bagay po na yun po. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you so much. So, bakit siya? So, in short, sa scaffolding is supposed to be guide. That's from Vygotsky. So, pag sinabi kasi natin kay Vygotsky scaffolding, it is a teaching method that helps students learn more. By working with the teacher and the students to achieve their learning goals. So, guided siya by a teacher, kaya siya tinawag na scaffolding. Kasi meron tayong tinatawag na ZPD or the Zone of Proximal Development. Share ko yung para pag-take down notes kayo. Yan. So, scaffolding is a teaching method that helps students learn more by a teacher or more advanced student to achieve their learning goals. So, siya yung may concept ng ZPD or Zone of Proximal Development. Pag sinabi natin ZPD, set of skills or knowledge a student can do on her own but can do with the help or guidance of someone else. It is the skill level just above where the student currently is. So, ito yung tinatawag natin ZPD. Concentric circle din. Learner can do independently. Halimbawa, a child recognize alphabet A, B, C, D, E. Yun na ang kaya niyang gawin mag-isa. Alam niya i-recognize. But, kapag kinombine natin yung letters C, A, N, hindi na niya alam yun. But through the guidance, like scaffold ang picture, kaya niyang basahin, i-combine yung sound ng C, A, and N. And a child would read it as can, or can. In guided siya, that's the zone of proximal development. So, nagagawa niya through the help or guidance of a teacher. Kaya siya Vygotsky scaffolding. And pag totally, iniwanan siya ng teacher, o hindi na siya ginide, and combine na tayo ng more letters. But there can be two and one. So, that's the importance of scaffolding. Kasi there could be a skill na pwede naman gawin ng bata or a child. Yun nga lang, kailangan talaga ng guidance of a teacher. Another example, a child couldn't handle the pencil kasi wala siyang background. So, couldn't write even a single line. But with the guidance, dahil ini-help mo yung physically, you guide the child, you scaffold him to write a straight line. Eventually, malalaman niya because so yun lang yung kay Vygotsky scaffolding. He believed that educators should help students learn within their ZPD so they can increase the skills and knowledge without becoming frustrated by the things that are currently too difficult for them to accomplish. So let's proceed to the last one, which is Jean Clay. Jean Clay situated learning. She is Professor Emerita in the Department of Geography. She is a social anthropologist with a strong interest in social theory. So, yung situated learning in Jean Lave is an instructional approach developed by Jean Lave and Etienne Wenger in early 1990s. This situated learning follows the work of John Dewey. What is your schema of John Dewey? What could you remember about his theory? Anyone? Ano nga yung kay John Dewey? Sino nakaka-recall? Learning by? Anyone? Wala. Learning by? Yes, Ariane.
Learning by doing po.
Very good. So, pumagot din. Kanina tinawag kita wifi. It's learning by doing. It means a child will learn kung ginagawa nila mismo, di ba? Learning by experience also. So, kasi kay Vygotsky, di ba? Kasi scaffolded siya. Ginagawa nila, yun nga lang, with the guidance of teacher. Kay John Dewey, they learn by doing or they learn by experience. Kaya siya tinawag, kaya siya related kay Jean Lave, situated learning. Inilalagay mo yung bata dun sa same situation. So it's more on interaction with the people. Example, field trip. They learn by experience. That's all about GMAID situated learning. Yun lang. Ayan, field trips, where they actively participate in familiar environments, cooperative education and internship experiences. Kaya nga si teacher may OJT. O hindi lang naman teacher. Even other courses, may OJT yan. Para magkaroon sila ng hands-on experience para mas matuto. So that's what we call GMAID situated learning. Okay, so that ends the psychological basis. Let's proceed to the philosophical basis. In philosophical basis, we just have two: inclusivity and equality. Anyone from the class who could differentiate inclusivity and equality? Anyone? Inclusivity, napag-aralan na natin yan. What about equality? Yes or yan? Sorry, yan.
Po, yung bali sa equality po, yung lahat po is makakuha ng same treatment. Pare-pares lang po sila ng treatment na matatanggap. Tapos sa inclusivity po, lahat po, kasama lahat po sinusuportahan, gano'n. Tapos, lahat po included, wala po maiiwan.
Okay, exactly. Diba? Inclusivity, everyone is welcome. Equality, everyone is given the same treatment, given the same opportunity. Yun lang yun. So, all children in the same classroom, in the same school. That's inclusivity or inclusive education. Equality aims to promote fairness by treating everyone equally despite disregard of their differences, their learning abilities, and disabilities. So that ends my lessons. Ilagay lang natin, ilagay ko lang yung policy of special inclusive education. Every child has the right to education. The school and learning environment must be accessible. Teachers, including teachers with disabilities, are supported to work in inclusive education. So, hindi lang naman kasi tayo sa student may disabilities. Sometimes, may mga mas tayo na disability, of course, we give them the same opportunity na makapasok sa work kahit may disability sila. Diba? Every child has the right to protection from discrimination or grounds of disability. Children are protected from all forms of violence in school. Children have a right to democratic participation in schools and to consolidated education policy. Access to education for children with disabilities, the responsibility of education ministry, a government-wide and coordinated approach to inclusive education means that children with disabilities are cared for and supported within their families or staff's teaching environment. So that ends our psychological and philosophical pieces of special and inclusive education. May we now have the historical, local, and global basis from Claire Kerry. Kerry, are you here? Hindi na kayo i-call ko ha. There. Ay, nasa meeting naman pala si ma'am. Puntahan ko lang sila. Break tayo, 5 minutes. Puntahan ko lang sila sa class.
Good afternoon po, everyone. Am I audible po?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes po, ma'am.
So, before po tayo mag-proceed sa topic, let's have, icebreaker muna. Anyone po, sino po pwede magsagot? Sige po, pa-answer na lang po.
Inclusive.
Ay. Ayan, inclusive. Next po, pasagot na lang din.
Special.
Ayan, tama, special. Next po. Anyone po? Okay, yes, Santiago.
Education po.
Ayan, correct. Last na po. Delgado.
Disability po.
Yes, correct. Ayan, so for our topic today is about historical development of special education in the Philippines. So, special education in the Philippines has experienced changes sa cultural perspective and historical milestone and legislative advancement. The development of special education sa Philippines is nag-increase, showcase an increasing acknowledgement of the rights sa mga people na may disabilities and needs, ensuring equal access and quality education para sa lahat. So, special education sa Philippines is nag-evolve siya from segregated institutions noong early 90s to inclusive right-based policies through key milestones like NCWDP 1972 and yung tinatawag natin na Magna Carta for Disabled Persons 1992 and the DepEd Order number 26 2002 and the ratification of the UNCRPD 2008. So, noong early 1902, the interest to educate Filipino children with disabilities was expressed by Mr. Fred Atkinson, the General Superintendent of Education. In 1907, special education is formally nagsimula sa country by establishing the Insular School para sa mga deaf and blind in Manila. So, by 1908, na-establish yung unang SPED class sa Philippines, which is the school for deaf started in Harrison sa Pasay City. And nagmark siya ng recognition of providing education for handicapped children. And 1963, the enactment of RA 3562 established training course para sa mga teachers and Philippine National School of the Blind. Uh, 1992. Anyone po? Sino pong pwede magbasa? Wala, sige. So, by 1992, by 1992, the enactment of RA 7277, or also known as yung Magna Carta for Persons with Disabilities, an act providing for the rehabilitation, self-development, self-reliance of disabled persons, and their integration in the mainstream of the society. So, noong 2013 naman is the enactment of RA 10533, the enhanced basic education curriculum also include provision para sa mga learners na may special needs. It differentiate instructions and sinusuportahan din yung mga learners na may disabilities. So, ngayon, in recent years, Philippines has advanced inclusive education through DepEd programs, and nakapokus siya sa mga teachers training and specialized curricula, and alongside strong advocacy from NGOs and community-based initiatives. And also yung public school is nag-emphasize sila ng close monitoring and equitable access para sa mga learners with special needs through continuous improvement plans. Despite these efforts, challenges such as inadequate learning facilities or mga kakulangan mga facilities para sa mga special needs, and also limited training and weak collaboration remain significant barriers sa field. So the development of special education in global naman. Anyone po, sino po pwede magbasa? Diana Rose.
Hello po. Am I audible po?
Yes po.
Special education involved global needs through major events such as the advocacy of pioneers like Pestalozzi and Seguin in the 19th century. The establishment of the first special schools in Europe and North America in the early 20th century, the U.S., Education for All Handicapped Children Act of 1975, and the adoption of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities or CRPD in 2006. These milestones reflect a shift from exclusion to inclusion, driven by legal reforms and growing recognition of diverse learning needs.
So, yung 19th century, na-establish yung first special schools sa Europe and North America. And early 20th century naman, US Education for All Handicapped Children Act of 1975. So, 1829, Perkins Schools for the Blind is founded in Boston noong 1829, and ito din yung unang US school dedicated to educating individuals with visual impairments, setting up future specialized education. So by 1876, the American Association on Mental Deficiency or yung tinatawag na AAMD na ngayon ano na siya AAIDD, founded siya to advance understanding and support for individuals na may intellectual and development disabilities. So, noong 1878, the standardization of the Spanish Braille code provided para sa mga blind students with a talk. So, yung Spanish Braille code provided blind students with tactile reading. Ito yung ginagamit nila para makapag makapagbasa rin sila and makasabay sila sa education. So, nung 1922, the Council for Exceptional Children founded sa US and nag-advocate siya para sa mga students na may disabilities by promoting research, advancing their rights, and supporting professional development. So, noong 1951 naman, the World Federation ng Deaf was established para ma-advocate yung karapatan ng mga deaf and hard of hearing individuals, promoting sign language, recognition, inclusive education, and the cultural identity of the deaf community. So in 1953 to 1974, the National Association for Gifted Children or yung NAGC, which is established siya to advocate for intellectuality gifted students and to promote specialized program. Yung Learning Disabilities Association sa America was founded to support individuals with learning disabilities naman and through awareness and effective teaching strategies. And the Autism Society of America was created para ma-improve yung buhay ng mga student or mga tao na may autism spectrum disorders. Advancing research and public awareness. And the Association for Behavior Analysis International or ABAI was formed to apply behavioral principles in special education. So 1975, Education for All Handicapped Children, na-rename siya as IDEA and to promote equal educational access and services para sa mga children with disabilities. And 1977, the Rehabilitation Act in Public Schools, Section 504, made sure na yung mga students na may disabilities sa public school is makakuha din ng help na kailangan nila para matuto, just like everyone else. So 1990, the Americans with Disabilities Act and Disabilities Education Act, pinalakas pa nila yung mga disability rights by making sure na may-include sila and may accessibility sila and personalized education. 1998 to 2002, the Universal Design for Learning or UDL framework was introduced to support diverse learners through flexible teaching methods. And the No Child Left Behind Act strengthen the accountability and access to quality education para sa lahat ng students, and including those with disabilities. 2004 to 2008, the Response to Intervention (RTI) framework was introduced, a multi-tiered system to support students with learning difficulties. While the 2006 adaptation ng UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities reinforced global commitment to inclusive education and disability rights. So yung activity for today sana, which is create a simple timeline showing major milestones in special and inclusive education, papa-assignment na lang. Since hindi naman siya magagawa today. Any questions, clarifications? Ay, screenshot nyo na lang po pala to, then assignment na lang siya. Okay na po ba? So yung quiz din natin, next meet na lang siya. So may next discussion pa po tayo, which is i-represent po ni Mr. Gallego.
May audible po?
Yes po.
Sige, wait lang. Set up ko lang.
So, kita na po ba? Hello, hello. Okay, so bago tayo magsimula sa mismong discussion natin, so meron muna kayong kailangan sagutan. So, sino gustong sumagot dito? Pag nakikita niyo, kilala niyo ba kung sino to? Pag nakikita niyo siya, anong naiisip niyo sa kanya? Or sino siya? Anyone? Walang sumasagot. Tatawag na lang kaya ako. Di, try lang. Sino gusto mag-try? Pwede nyo i-chat sa chat box. Si ano to, siya yung sikat ngayon. Kung nanonood kayo ng balita, siya yung sikat ngayon sa Senate hearing. Sino may nagtaas kanina? Sino yun? Si Jel Mays.
Good afternoon po. Ano po, Senate Joel Villanueva po yung TESDA man po.
Yun. TESDA. Okay. Next naman, ito. Sino gusto sumagot dito naman? Ano lang yan, para madali siyang mag-gets. Pagdudugtugtungin niyo lang. Si Diana Rose.
Hula lang po, sir. It's either participation or collaboration po.
Medyo malayo. Sino pa? Si Patrick James Santiago.
Try lang, sir.
Sige lang.
Ano po, indigenous cultural communities.
Tama na yung first word, indigenous. Yung second tsaka third word, medyo malayo. Sino ba gusto mag-try? Nahulaan niyo na yung unang word, indigenous. Si Diana Rose ibalik. Sige,
Indigenous teaching technology po.
Medyo malapit na yung second word, pero yung third word medyo malayo. Sirit na ba? Hard track pag sirit na. Okay. So, indigenous learning system. So, ito nga to, may kinalaman sa magiging topic natin ngayon. Ito naman, sino gusto sumagot? CCT.
Sir, I think law.
Tama. So, let's proceed to our discussion. Thank you po sa participation. So, So ang topic natin ngayon is about sa legal foundation ng inclusive education. First, the 1987 Philippine Constitution, Article 5 Section 1 and 2, explicitly uphold the protection and promotion of the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels, which requires the Philippine government, among others. So dito sa sa constitution na to, sinasabi dito na na lahat ng tao is merong karapatan para mag-aral. Kaya kasi noong unang panahon kasi ang mga pwede na mag-aral nung unang panahon is yung mga prinsipe, mga may kaya sa buhay, yung mga kilalang tao. So ngayon, gumawa sila ng batas na kahit sino pwede na mag-aral. Kaya merong mga paaralan na ngayon na libre, kagaya ng kagaya ng TUP, libre tuition. Yung mga public school na. Yun yung sinasabi ng batas na to. Next tayo. Ayun. Section 1 state that shall protect and promote the rights of all citizens to quality education at all levels, and shall take appropriate step to make such education to all. Sabi sa Section 2 naman, the government must provide free public education in elementary and high school. So kaya nagawa yung mga public schools dahil dito. Then kaya rin sila merong mga in-offer na scholarship and subsidies like yung 4Ps. Kung kapag pinag-aaral mo yung meron ka matatanggap na allowance galing sa gobyerno. Mamaya may topic pa tayo doon. Next naman yung ALS. Yan yung mga program na libre na binibigay ng gobyerno para lahat pwedeng makapag-aral. Next tayo sa Republic Act number 10533 or otherwise known as the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013. And it's implementing rule and regulation define the inclusiveness of enhanced basic education through implementation of programs designed to address the physical, intellectual, social, and cultural needs of learners, which shall include but shall not be limited to programs for learners with disabilities, programs for learners under difficult circumstances, the Indigenous People Education Program, and programs for gifted and talented. Section 8. So sinasabi naman ng batas na to na kahit pa yung level ng alam mo or yung kakayahan mo, may mga program na dinesign kaya na-invento yung hotel na merong STEM. Pag gusto mo yung pag more yung skills mo is engineering, mathematics. Pero pag sa naman sa mga business, yun yung mga ABM. Then kapag more on yung skills mo is about sa pagkukumpanya ng computer, ICT, doon pwede ka sa ICT. Then kapag undecided ka, pwede ka rin mag-gas. So nabuo yung K-12 na yun, dito sila nag-take sa batas na to na Republic Act number 10523. O mas kilala sa Enhanced Basic Education of 2013. Next naman, Republic Act number 8371 or mas kilala sa tawag na Indigenous People Rights Act of 1997. Dito naman, yung mga indigenous people natin, meron silang sariling education system. Like kapag magtuturo ka sa kanila, tuturuan ka siyempre ng lingwahe nila. Kasi ang tuturuan mo doon, mga indigenous people lang. So kailangan alam mo yung lingwahe nila kasi ikaw yung mag-a-adjust para matulungan mo silang magturo. Next tayo. Dito naman sa PD or mas tinatawag na Presidential Number 603, the Child and Youth Welfare Code. a foundational law in the Philippines to define the rights, responsibility, and protection for children and youth. It promotes their physical, emotional, moral, and social development and outlines the duties of parents, school, and the government to ensure their well-being. It also set guidelines on child labor education, health, and protection from abuse and exploitation. So sinasabi naman ng batas na to na lahat ng bata may karapatang mag-aral. Pag hindi ka pa legal age, bawal ka magtrabaho, dapat nasa school ka. Kasi karapatan mo mag-aaral, karapatan mo maglaro. So, kapag pinilit ka magtrabaho, yung batas na to, sinasabi niya na merong mga parusa sa mga ganun. Question. Let's say, maaga ka nakapangasawa. Mga siguro ang edad mo is nasa mga 19. Yung batas ba na to, pasok pa rin ba sa'yo? Anyone? Sa class? Anyone sa class po? Hello? Okay, next time. Yun. Sabi naman sa Article 2, the code shall be known as Child and Youth Welfare Code. It shall apply to persons below 21 years of age except those anticipated in accordance with the law. Child or minor or youth as used in this code shall refer to such person. So sinasabi daw dito, kapag once na nakasal ka na kahit hindi ka pa 21 above, hindi ka na matuturing na na minor. Kasi nakapangasawa ka na eh. Next naman po si Republic Act number 7610 of 1992, also known as Special Protection Against Abuse, Exploitation, and Discrimination Act. So dito declares that it is a state policy to provide special protection to children from all forms of abuse, neglect, cruelty, exploitation, and discrimination. Another condition prejudicial to their development provides sanction for their commission and carry out a program for prevention and deterrence and crisis intervention in situation of child abuse, exploitation, and discrimination. So sa madaling salita, yung law na to is pinoprotektahan nito yung mga bata sa mga any violence, any abuse, any discrimination na ginagawa sa kanila. Pero, yun. Ito yung nagpoprotekta sa mga bata. So balik tayo dito sa PD number 603, the Child and Youth Welfare Code. Kasi ito yung pinasang batas, yung nagpasa ng batas dito si yung action start na yun.
Robin po.
Ayun yung pinasang batas si Robin Padilla. Yung gusto niyang mangyari is babaan yung pwede nang ilagay sa kulungan na na minor pag nakapatay ka, pag nakagawa ka ng karumal-dumal na krimen. So, itong batas kasi na to, sinasabi dito na kapag nakagawa ka ng krimen, like ang age mo is 16 years old, hindi ka nila dadalhin sa kulungan mismo na kasama mo yung mga ibang kriminal na karumal-dumal din yung krimen na ginawa nila. Kundi merong sariling facilities na doon ka nila ilalagay. Then, siyempre, obserbahan ka nila kung nagbago ka ba, kung pinagsisihan mo ba yung ginawa mo. Pero kapag above ka na sa minor age, like alam mo na talaga yung ginagawa mo, alam mo na yung tama sa mali, doon ka naman nila pwedeng dalhin sa ibang facilities. Tapos pag tungtong mo ng 21 years old, dadalhin ka nila sa mismong kulungan yan eh. Alam mo, mismong kulungan na yan. Pero ba kayo mga katanungan, nagigets niyo ba? Yun lang yung topic sa legal basis, kasi medyo konti. Mga 6 lang. Pero open naman ako if may mga question kayo. Anyone? Art na lang pag wala po. Okay, since tayo ngayon? Online class. Yung quiz na to is station na lang. So, for number 1, sinong gustong sumagot? Anyone? Sa number 1 po, sinong gustong sumagot? Sige, magtatawag na lang ako. Ayun, Maylin. Si Maylin. Sige po.
Number 1, a grade 7 student with cerebral palsy is provided with a wheelchair accessible classroom and is guaranteed the right to quality education at all levels. Letter D po. PD 603 child and welfare.
Letter B? Sorry sir, pwede po pa ulit.
Letter D, dog.
Child and Youth Welfare Code. Yung Child and Youth Welfare, yun eh, yung batas na pinoprotektahan yung children. Like yung pag pag nakagawa ka ng kasalanan, ng krimen, like dadali ka sa isang facility, tapos mag-undergo sa ika-quarantine ka nila. Anyone po? D is is maling sagot po. Anyone, sino po? Si Mimi? Si Mimi po.
Sa number 1 po, sir.
Number 1 po pa rin.
A grade 7 student with cerebral palsy is provided with a wheelchair accessible classroom and is guaranteed the right to quality education at all levels. Letter D po.
Letter
PD 603 child and letter B, RA.
RA, Enhanced Basic Education Act.
RA. Apo.
Mali po. Kasi yung RA, Enhanced Basic Education Act, ito naman yung yung K-12 program. Like, kung ano yung skills mo, pwede ka mamili. Pwede ka sa STEM, ABM, ICT, yung ganon. So, B is not correct answer po. Anyone, sino pa po gusto mag-try? Dalawa na lang yung pwede magpilian. Is there A or C? Ano, Hazel.
Ang sagot ko po is letter A po, sir.
Ayun, letter A.
1987.
Yun, letter A, 1980. Tama, letter A, 1987 Philippine Constitution. Ba't naging art yan? Akyat. 5 section 1 and 2. Next po, sa number 2, sino po gusto sumagot? Sige, tawag tayo. Si Joshua.
A teacher designs learning module for out-of-school youth and learners. Ay, wala sir.
Wait lang. Wait lang, nag-shutdown yung laptop. Wait lang, balik ko lang ulit. Wait lang, class, balik ko lang ulit. Bigla nag-shutdown. Ayan, kita na po. Kita na?
Ayan, okay na sir.
Okay, go.
A teacher designs a learning module for out-of-school youth and learners with special needs under the alternative learning system, or ALS. Letter B po, sir.
Ayun, tama, nakuha niya. Isa sa mga programa ng RA 10533 is yung ALICE, which is education para sa lahat. So mga out of school learners, pwede silang pumasok sa ALICE. Sa number 3, sino gusto sumagot? Si Angelica.
Number 3, a school in the Cordillera ensures that indigenous learners are taught their language, culture, and tradition as part of the curriculum. Letter A po, Republic Act 8371, Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act.
Ayun, tama. So, lagi po natin natandaan na yung pag may nakita kay Indigenous People Right Act, ito yung tinuturo sa sa atin yung language. Tinuturo ng indigenous learner are taught their language. Kumbaga, pag ikaw yung magtuturo sa kanila, tuturuan ka ng language sila para yung language sila yung gagamitin mo sa pagtuturo sa kanila. Then yung mga tradition nila, yun din yung ituturo mo sa kanila. Pero yun yung nagiging way para ma-preserve yung culture nila. Tayo sa number 4, sino sumagot? Number 4, si Trisha May.
A child who is orphaned and abandoned is placed in a foster home where their rights to. Letter C po.
So tama. Yun nga sa kanina sa Child and Youth Welfare Code, sinasabi na merong right para makapag-aral yung mga students. Kahit na yun nga, sa mga orphanage sila. Sa number 5, sino gusto sumagot? Si Patrick James Santiago.
A 9-year-old student reports being physically abused by an adult. The school coordinates with authorities to ensure the child's safety and protection for exploitation. Yung letter D po, sir. RA 7610.
Ayun na. Andito na yung yung physical abuse by an adult. Kasi sa RA 7610, yun yung nagpoprotekta sa mga bata at para sa mga child abuse sa panakit ng mga mas nakakatanda. So, para sa assignment, pipili lang kayo ng isang legal foundation. Tapos isa-summarize nyo kung ano yun. And then, gagawa kayo ng isang real-life scenario from school, home, or sa community. Kung saan nyo pwedeng apply yung law na yun. Then gagawin nyo sa A4 bond paper. So, handwritten tayo and dapat creative. Easy kayo, no? Kayo yung maraming maganda yung gawa. Ganda ng gawa niya. So lang, nyo na, na-picture nyo na. So ito pala yung rubrics natin sa pag-check ng assignment na. Understanding of the law, application, scenario, importance, creativity, 5 points, total of 20 points. Andito na kaya si Ma'am?